show this. So again, I'm trying to compose this into this drawing, still looking for the length, the width, and the height of this. So here's the overall length of it. As this tapers in, I'm trying to see the angle of this in the proportion and also the negative shape of this to try to help see this correct angle for this piece. So as it does come down as a cylindrical shape, the cross contour ellipses that make this bracket are going to be there. As it comes to this direction, it's going in that direction. Now it's coming this way. Okay? So depending on if you start off with a rectangular piece in perspective, find the end section for it first, and then from that point trying to look at the proportion of these curved selections. And this isn't just a flat curve, it actually bends backwards. So just trying to illustrate that in there. The distance of the thickness of this, it's not even, it starts and tapers out and then comes down even for a little bit and then goes back. So it's building that piece up right there. And that gives you that overall club face. This part actually tapers down. If you look backwards in some of the pieces here, you can kind of see it tapers right down into this section. So this part you don't see, but at least you see the evidence of that taper. Building that in there. And then pinpointing this. Now if this is going to be divided into 6 spaces either side, because there's a dozen here, so I'm just going to place that after. I'm going to eliminate this direction line just temporarily and place it right about here. And within this piece, trying to divide this into the six spaces. So there's 1, and then 6 more. Gives me a total of a dozen. So temporarily I'm just going to sketch them in freehand and then go back in. So that gives me that tapered in. If there's one off, just take it out temporarily. And then on the opposing side of this, as you look at it, just has this slight detail. And again, here's an edge that they can all line up against. And builds that piece up, and there's 6 back here. So it's just a slight detail on that piece, but once it's in there, you have it all set. Taking a look at this. So now, I'm just going to use a straight edge or the ruler. Place this in here. Put it down here even though it's going to be thicker, just to keep it in the right proportion. And make this a little bit larger. Make this a little bit larger. And again, trying to find all the shapes as far as the tones going around that metallic piece, just like the section that you did in Photoshop. So it's that easy to get that illustration to that piece. Round this off nice and easy. And do the same here. This one's going to taper a little bit. Taper it out that way. And this one also has a little bit of a white banding around that, so it makes it pretty easy to illustrate once you have that initial selection. That's part. Now coming down into this one, still this posterized approach to it. Building that in there. And let this come around here. see the shape that this is making as it bends the metal. Bring this down here. I'm trying to get enough contrast in there to represent the shading as well as that material. So it's pretty rough at first, but the first part that you see coming through, you can go back in, heavy that up, mix that piece. So now it's just the club face that you have to worry about. So coming around this part. Take a look, there's texture, there's pieces that are cut out of this from a part hitting it. Still getting that other side, that's going to be in shadow. This side coming in here. And this part, so I'm just going to put a straight line right here to show where that ends up to it. And when you take a look at the difference of these, let's see, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So the first 5, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, are going to stop short, but the 6th one all comes back to the end. So again, trying to not only do it from a light and a thickness to it, but it does give you a little bit of contrast to it. And I can take the outside one and take this other large one to kind of locate where it's going to be. Right on those two lines, if I extend this and extend this one, this is going to give me a point right here that I can use as a vanishing point. So just line that point right there and rotate this around to be that section. So this guarantees the feeling of perspective right away. Building that section. And I'm going ahead and make these lines pretty heavy. And it'll be the same with these pieces, so as this goes over, I'm just going to put a line to help me with that distance. And now I can adjust this, and again, move your paper so that you get your best illustration there. Okay, so that gives you a pretty good way to illustrate that. I can come back and take a look at how these are connected back here with some of these lines, some of the shading. This part has a tone to it. And I'm just going to go with these lines because they do have a little divot. And as I go to that edge, I can go from the line and just kind of leave a little bit of a highlight right up to that edge. And it's a simple technique, but it gives a lot of depth and detail to the drawing. Built that up pretty good. And then just using the straight edge, you can even use a piece of paper. And the last part, just taking a look at these circular pieces that are here. And once you get one of the elliptical shapes, I'm just going to put the straight edge right there. I'm just making like the letter C. It's just a repeated pattern. And since I still have it, I'm just going to go back and make the shadow that's there. Because at that edge, and then travel all the way back to the back of the drawing, just kind of finding that edge and doing the same back here. So the straight edge just helps you with the pattern, makes it a little easier to do that. Puts that tone in there. And again, looking at this edge, taking this piece and this has helped with that vanishing point. You can just go back into the detail, keep pushing the values for it here. So for example, this one's going to be pretty dark up here.